Welcome to Wealthrise Stories, where clarity meets knowledge, and knowledge becomes financial power.
Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to hook into a topic that I guarantee if you're a small or medium-sized business, SME owner, dreaming of going big, or if you've ever gone to battle in international markets, especially with German partners, you'll definitely see yourself in this story. Here's the thing, have you ever sat in a meeting, maybe online, on Zoom, or in a sleek office in Frankfurt, and felt like you were drifting in a sea of unfamiliar words? Especially when working with German partners, that feeling is strange, isn't it? A mix of frustration, confusion, and even a bit of insecurity. When the terminology and industry jargon just keep coming nonstop. You hear the words, and they sound familiar, sure, but you can't quite grasp the deeper meaning behind them. Or worse, you don't know how to express your own ideas clearly enough for them to fully understand. Think about it. Have you ever nodded along pretending you got it while a giant question mark popped up in your head? What exactly do they mean? This word, Mittelständisch, besides meaning small and medium-sized enterprise, does it carry any cultural implications, operational norms, or business philosophies behind it? Or when they mention GmbH or AG? You know, those are company types. But do you really understand the legal nuances, governance structures, or even how decision-making works differently between those forms? Personally, I've been in those awkward laugh or cry situations more than once, feeling like I'm standing in the middle of a river with no bridge to cross. Language differences are just the tip of the iceberg. The real challenge lies in the differences in mindset and business culture. So what if I told you there's a dictionary that doesn't simply translate words from German to English or vice versa? A dictionary that I'd boldly call a translator. Not only of language, but of thought culture. And the core values behind every German business term. Sounds almost too good to be true, right? But I promise you, it exists. And this is exactly when I want to introduce you to today's main character. A book that I truly believe will change the game for you in every transaction with German partners. Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary, German-English. The name sounds kind of classic, maybe even a little dry with a dictionary label, doesn't it? Don't let that fool you. This is not a lifeless list of vocabulary terms lined up neatly on a page for you to flip through and forget. Not at all. Think of this book as a golden key, a finely crafted key that unlocks not just the language barrier, but the doorway into the mindset, work style, and subtle secrets behind the success of German businesses. It's like being handed a detailed treasure map, not only showing you the names of each place, but explaining the history, culture, and how the people there think and behave. Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary isn't just a book. It's a bridge, a trustworthy companion that helps you not only understand the words, but also read your partner's grasp the unspoken layers in negotiations, and more importantly, build strong, lasting business relationships. In the next part of this video, we'll peel back the layers of this unique dictionary together. Explore why it's called a game-changing dictionary, and see how it can help you ambitious SME owners not only feel more confident when working with German partners, but also achieve remarkable success on the global stage. Are you ready to dive into this secret with me? Let's step into the world of Mr. Honey. Take a deep breath. Today we're not just talking about a book, we're talking about a journey. A journey that I believe many of you, those who are searching for your own path in the business world, especially when working with foreign partners, have experienced or are going through right now. It's a journey of searching for light, searching for understanding in the darkness of cultural misunderstandings. My friends, which one of us hasn't made mistakes? Who hasn't felt stuck, lost, or even crushed by a failed deal? Only to realize the real reason had nothing to do with the dry numbers. I believe many of you have been there. And I'm no exception. Back then I was young, full of passion, but terribly lacking in experience. There was this deal with a German partner that I had placed huge expectations on. A multi-million-dollar potential project. I poured into it endless hours, endless effort, and plenty of hope. We had several meetings, and everything seemed smooth. I thought, well, just be friendly, open, relaxed. That'll do it. So after an important meeting, I sent a follow-up email thinking it would make our relationship feel more warm and cozy. I used language that was a bit too casual, tossed in a few jokes I thought were funny. And then silence. Absolute silence. After a few days of worrying, I received a polite, but unmistakably "we're done here" email. They had decided to move in another direction. An entire major project gone in a puff of smoke. It felt like a slap straight from the heavens, and I had no idea what I'd done wrong. That sense of helplessness, you know it, right? It gnaws at you day after day. It makes you doubt your abilities, question whether you're even cut out for international business, when these invisible barriers keep blocking your way. I searched everywhere, read every book I could find about German business culture, but everything was dry theory. None of it filled the emotional gap or the understanding I was missing. Until one day, by chance, or maybe fate, I stumbled into a small forum. Someone mentioned the name Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary, German English. The name sounded odd, even kind of funny. I thought, what could Mr. Honey possibly do to help me untangle this mess? But out of sheer desperation, I bought it. And then, page 1, page 2. It was like someone switched on a light in a pitch-black room. The book didn't just translate words, it decoded an entire culture. It showed me that my overly friendly email had been interpreted as unprofessional, and my jokes were seen as lacking seriousness in a work environment that values formality. I hadn't understood that for Germans, being direct, clear, and structured is actually a sign of respect, not coldness. Mr. Honey helped me see things I had always assumed were obvious, but were actually deep cultural gaps. That was my true moment of enlightenment. I realized that language isn't just vocabulary and grammar, it's a doorway into the soul of a culture. And I, with the arrogance of youth, had unknowingly shut that door. From that moment on, I knew I had to share this. Because this isn't just a regular book discussion, and it's definitely not some dry review of a dictionary. No, absolutely not. What I want to share with you is a real journey. An adventure into the essence, the hidden gems of wisdom I discovered in this seemingly plain book. I want us to explore together the profound lessons, the fresh perspectives that Mr. Honey brought to me, so that you can apply them to your work and your life. This video will be an honest, close-to-the-heart conversation, like friends sitting down together, sharing valuable experiences. It will be full of personal stories, real-world examples, and the genuine emotions I felt along the way. I want you to feel inspired, empowered with new knowledge, and most importantly, not alone anymore. When facing those invisible barriers in international business. Join me as we explore the complex yet fascinating world of international business through the unique lens of Mr. Honey. I believe you'll find not only lessons about language here, but also the keys to unlocking understanding, building lasting relationships, and achieving the success you've always dreamed of. Let's begin this journey together. Hello there, I'm your narrator today, and together we're going to open a very special door, not just into the world of business, but into a philosophy of life. You know, there are books that don't just give us information. They open up an entirely new worldview, challenge our assumptions, and offer us deep insights into how the world really works. The book I want to share with you in this series is Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary, German English. It sounds dry with the word dictionary in the title, doesn't it? But trust me, this is not just an ordinary dictionary. It's a map that guides us into the secrets behind one of the strongest economies in the world, Germany. On this journey, we'll decode key concepts and terms that may look simple on the surface, but actually contain an entire universe of knowledge. And today, we'll start with Chapter 1, The Foundation. The Mittelstand mindset. Mittelstand. Have you ever heard this word before? Maybe not, or if you have, you probably think of it as small and medium-sized enterprises. Yes, that's part of the truth, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. For me, and for many people who have studied the German economy, Mittelstand is not just a term about company size. It's a much deeper concept, a philosophy, a way of thinking that's deeply rooted in German business culture. And it's the backbone, the beating heart of this economic powerhouse. 1. What is Mittelstand and why does it matter? Imagine Germany as a solid, well-built house. Massive multinationals like Mercedes-Benz Siemens or BASF are the grand pillars, impressive, shining, and recognized all over the world. But the Mittelstand is the foundation, the sturdy bricks, quiet, unshowy, yet the very thing that keeps the whole house standing through every storm. In basic terms, the Mittelstand consists of small and medium-sized companies, mostly privately owned with fewer than 500 employees and annual revenues under 50 million euros. But what makes them truly special isn't the numbers, it's the spirit. It's a spirit built on sustainability, extreme specialization, and a long-term vision that goes far beyond quarterly financial reports. So why does it matter? Simply because the Mittelstand makes up more than 99% of all companies in Germany. They employ nearly 60% of the workforce and generate more than half of the country's GDP. Most of these companies never make it onto the Fortune 500 list, but they are hidden champions, global market leaders in ultra-specialized niche markets you may never have heard of. They're the ones making special adhesives for rockets, ultra-precise machines for semiconductor production, or industrial water filtration systems that no competitor can match. 2. Breaking down the 3 pillars of the Mittelstand mindset. So what creates the incredible strength of the Mittelstand? From what I've observed, and as this book also suggests, there are 3 main pillars that shape their identity and success. Pillar 1, family ownership and long-term vision. Most Mittelstand companies are family businesses passed down from generation to generation. That may sound old-fashioned, but it's actually a huge advantage. When you run a company knowing that your children and grandchildren will one day take over, you think very differently. You're not just focused on profits for the next quarter or even the next year, you're thinking 50 years ahead, sometimes 100. This is a mindset of legacy, of building something that has real, lasting value. Decisions aren't driven by the pressures of the stock market or outside investors. Instead, they prioritize stability, long-term investment in research and development, and nurturing relationships with employees and the community. They don't see the company as just a money-making machine, but as a member of the family, a part of the community, something that must be cared for and grown sustainably. Pillar 2. Focus on niche markets and extreme specialization. Mittelstand companies don't try to do everything. They don't chase the latest hot trends, nor do they try to compete head-on with the giants by doing the same things just cheaper. Instead, they find a tiny niche market, a very specific problem, and become the best in the world at solving it. Think about it this way. Instead of making smartphones, they might manufacture highly specialized display panels for medical equipment. Instead of producing cars, they might produce ultra-sensitive sensors for anti-lock braking systems. They pour all their resources, expertise, and creativity into that one area, building up a depth of know-how and experience that no one else can replicate. When you're the only one, or one of the very few who can do what you do, you don't have to worry about competing on price anymore. You create unique value. And that's real power. Pillar 3. Commitment to quality. Qualität. This is what the whole world thinks of when they hear made in Germany, and it's a cornerstone of the Mittelstand mindset. Qualität doesn't just mean good quality. It carries a sense of excellence, meticulous attention to detail, and deep professional pride. For Mittelstand companies, quality isn't an option. It's a non-negotiable requirement, a matter of honor. They're willing to spend more on the best materials, the strictest production processes, and the toughest quality control to ensure their products don't just work well, they work perfectly and reliably over time. Their reputation for quality is their most valuable asset. It keeps loyal customers coming back, and it's the best marketing they could ever have, better than any ad campaign. 3. The story of how one Mittelstand company succeeded. To help you picture this more clearly, let's imagine a story together. In a small town tucked among the green hills of the Schwarzwald Black Forest, there's a company called Präzisionsoptik Gruber, GmbH. Sounds very German, doesn't it? This company doesn't make camera lenses for big brands like Canon or Nikon. Instead, starting 3 generations ago, the Gruber family decided to focus on something extremely specific, producing ultra-precise optical lenses for electron microscopes used in scientific research and for microsurgical equipment in the medical field. When the grandfather of the current owner founded the company in the 1950s, he had only a tiny workshop and a few employees. But he had a burning passion for precision and an unshakable belief in quality. He spent hours and hours polishing each lens, testing them under the strictest conditions. The company never ran flashy ad campaigns. Their customers were top research labs around the world, specialized hospitals, and medical device manufacturers from Japan, the US, and Switzerland. When the market became flooded with cheap products from other countries, Präzisionsoptik Gruber GmbH stuck firmly to its principles. They refused to cut costs by using lower-grade materials or speeding up production processes. They knew that a tiny flaw in a single lens could affect the outcome of scientific research worth millions of dollars or even a patient's life in the operating room. They didn't chase short-term profits. Instead, they invested in training the next generation of master craftsmen, buying the most advanced machinery to achieve absolute precision and researching new materials. Because of that, even though their products were far from cheap, their loyal customers were always willing to wait and pay more. Because when absolute precision was needed, no one could do it better than Gruber. Präzisionsoptik Gruber GmbH isn't a household name globally, but in its niche, it's an unshakable force. A true hidden champion holding its leading position through a powerful combination of long-term vision, deep specialization, and absolute commitment to quality. 4. Connecting this to your business. How can you apply this mindset wherever you are? You might be asking yourself, I'm not German, and I don't own a centuries-old manufacturing company. What does the Mittelstand mindset have to do with me? Fantastic, that's exactly the question I want you to ask. The good news is you don't have to be a German company to learn from and apply the Mittelstand mindset. This is a philosophy that can be applied to any business, whether you're running a small tech startup, a coffee shop working as a freelancer, or even building your own personal brand. Let's take a look at how you can integrate this mindset into your work. 1. Develop long-term vision and sustainability. Don't just focus on tomorrow's sales or this month's profit. Ask yourself, what do I want my business to look like in 5 or 10 years? How can I build a solid foundation, not just financially, but in terms of values and reputation? This means prioritizing trusted relationships with customers, partners, and employees instead of just obsessing over quick-close deals. Think about creating a legacy, even if it's a small one. 2. Find your unique niche and specialize in it. What are you truly best at? What problem can you solve in a uniquely effective way that very few others can? Instead of trying to compete with the giants in a huge crowded market, find a smaller niche where you can become the irreplaceable expert. For example, if you're a graphic designer, instead of designing everything for everyone, you might specialize in branding for independent coffee shops or user interface design for educational apps. When you're a true specialist in a specific field, your value increases exponentially. 3. Put Qualität first in everything you do. Whether you sell physical products, provide services, or create digital content, commit to absolute quality. Quality here doesn't just mean no mistakes, it means care, refinement, and excellence in every detail. For a coffee shop owner, that means choosing the best beans, crafting each drink with precision, and delivering a thoughtful, memorable customer experience. For a programmer, it means writing clean, efficient, maintainable code. For a content creator, it means investing in research, producing videos with great image and sound, and delivering real value to your audience. Let quality be your signature, your promise. 4. Build a culture of responsibility and commitment. The Mittelstand mindset is also about creating a stable work environment where employees feel valued and committed. Even if you only have a few employees or work alone, build trust and dedication into everything you do. If you're a freelancer, be that reliable partner who always delivers on time and exceeds expectations. Investing in people, in yourself, and those around you is a long-term investment that yields sustainable returns. The Mittelstand mindset is not some magic formula reserved only for Germans. It's a compass, a philosophy of business and life, centered on core values, sustainability, specialization, quality, and long-term vision. It's about building something that truly matters, not just for profit, but for contribution, professional pride, and the legacy you want to leave behind. If you're on the path of building your career or your business, think about the Mittelstand. Find your niche. Focus on becoming the best in that field, and commit wholeheartedly to quality. You won't just build a successful business, you'll build a sustainable, meaningful legacy you can be proud of. That's it for our Chapter 1. I hope you've gained a deeper understanding of the Mittelstand concept and the valuable lessons it offers. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next chapters, where we'll continue exploring other fascinating concepts from Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. Welcome back, everyone, to our journey exploring this extraordinary business dictionary. If Chapter 1 gave us a walkthrough of the fundamental concepts behind German business thinking, then today, I want us to dive deeper into a word, a concept that is perhaps the core, the very heartbeat of everything in Germany, Ordnung. Chapter 2. Structure and Performance, the Art of Ordnung. When you hear the word Ordnung, many of you might immediately picture something very structured, very strict, maybe even rigid. Steel rules. People who are always on time, everything arranged perfectly in its place. And yes, that's not wrong. But I want you to pause those assumptions for a moment and look at Ordnung with me through a completely different lens, a lens of creativity, of efficiency, and even of freedom. Because in the business world, especially in the German mindset, Ordnung is not a chain. It is the foundation. It is the wings. We often hear the famous saying, Ordnung muss sein. There must be order. It sounds obvious, but in a business context, it carries a much deeper meaning. It's not order, so everything stays still, it's order. So everything can function as smoothly, efficiently, and most importantly, predictably as possible. Picture a complex machine. Every part has its position and its role. If one gear is out of place, the whole system can stall. Business works the same way. Ordnung muss sein means that every process, every role, every objective must be clear and logically arranged. This is the strong foundation that allows a business to become sustainable, where quality is guaranteed and where customers can trust in consistency. And once everything has structure, once the foundation is solid, that's when we can confidently start to create. And at the center of Ordnung in a business environment is the concept of Arbeitsablauf, the workflow. This isn't just a list of sequential steps. It is the art of arranging and optimizing every activity to hit the goal as quickly, accurately, and resource efficiently as possible. I believe many of you, no matter what job you do, have experienced that feeling of being stuck when everything becomes chaotic with no clear path. Uncertainty leads to mistakes, wasted time, and worse, lost motivation. Arbeitsablauf is the compass that helps us escape that mess. It's the roadmap, the perfect recipe for any task. To make this easier to visualize, let's visit a small, handcrafted coffee roastery. Imagine this workshop specializes in producing unique coffee varieties with meticulously crafted roasting and blending methods. What happens if there's no Ordnung and no clear Arbeitsablauf? Maybe one employee overheats the beans and burns them. Another might forget the resting step after grinding. The person blending the coffee might eyeball the ratios. And the result? Every batch tastes different. The quality is inconsistent, customers get disappointed, and the company loses its reputation. Now imagine the owner implements Ordnung. They document every process in detail. Step 1. Receiving raw coffee beans. Check moisture levels and quality using specific standards. Step 2. Sorting and cleaning. Clearly note the bean type and origin. Step 3. Roasting. Set exact temperatures and times for each bean type. Include detailed temperature time charts. Step 4. Resting post-roast. Specify the minimum and maximum resting times under defined temperature and humidity conditions. Step 5. Grinding. Provide the required grind size for each brewing method. Step 6. Blending. Record precise formulas with exact gram measurements. Step 7. Packaging and storage. Instructions for packaging materials, vacuum sealing, and storage conditions. When everything is documented so clearly, what happens? First, errors drop to an absolute minimum. Even a brand new employee can quickly get up to speed and follow the steps correctly. Second, speed and efficiency increase dramatically. No more wasted time asking questions, no more guessing. Everyone knows exactly what to do and how to do it. And most importantly, it guarantees consistent quality and enhances innovation. When you know all the fundamentals are under control, you're free to experiment with new blends, explore unique beans, or upgrade the packaging. In other words, you are free to create, instead of struggling with basic problems. At this point, some of you might be thinking, isn't this starting to sound a bit bureaucratic? Does this turn a business into a stiff, soulless machine? And this is the crucial point. The difference I want you to remember, Ordnung is completely different from bureaucracy in the negative sense. Bureaucracy is when rules become the goal themselves, when following the process becomes more important than the result. When paperwork exists, just for paperwork's sake, it slows you down, kills flexibility, and suffocates creativity. But Ordnung is the opposite. It is a tool, a foundation meant to achieve goals more effectively. The ultimate purpose of Ordnung is efficiency, not blind obedience. It is smart, proactive organization that maximizes performance, minimizes waste, and creates room for growth. It means building a structure within which you can move freely, experiment freely, without fear that everything will collapse. Think of a pianist. To perform complex compositions with mastery, they must spend thousands of hours practicing basic techniques, the Ordnung of finger movement, of rhythm. By mastering those structures, they can express emotion, add improvisation, and create a unique performance. Ordnung in business is the same. It gives us the structure so we can perform and even improvise masterfully. In my YouTube journey, it's the same. Even though my channel feels natural and conversational, behind every video is a clear Ordnung of tasks: idea development, research scripting, filming editing, SEO optimization, scheduling. Maybe I don't write out every microscopic detail like an instruction manual, but I have an Arbeitsablauf in my mind and in my workflow tools. This keeps me from getting lost in the chaos of hundreds of tiny tasks. It helps me know exactly where I am and what needs to be done next. And more importantly, it frees my mind from small worries so I can devote my time and energy to what truly matters, discovering fresh perspectives, creating compelling and valuable content, and connecting with you in the most authentic way. Order doesn't kill creativity. Order releases creativity. It is the foundation of effectiveness. So you see, Ordnung is not the chain of rigidity. It is the wings of efficiency and creativity. It is the smart choice for those who want to build a solid business, a smooth running system, and a work environment where everyone can give their best. In the next chapter, we'll continue exploring another equally important concept, one that goes hand in hand with Ordnung, to build trust and professionalism. Verantwortung responsibility. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. If, in the previous chapters, we talked about structure, about perfectly lubricated machines, then today we're going to dive into an aspect that I believe is the heart and soul of every sustainable success people. Think about a championship soccer team. You can have brilliant tactics, state-of-the-art stadiums, but if you don't have talented players, strong cohesion, and an unbreakable team spirit, then all of that is just theory. In German, they have a wonderful word for this: Mannschaft. It's not just a team in the simple sense, but a collective, a unified unit, where every individual is an indispensable part, all moving toward a shared goal. And that's exactly the title of our Chapter 3 today. Chapter 3? People. Building a championship Mannschaft. So how is it that German businesses, especially the Mittelstand, those small and medium-sized companies that form the backbone of their economy, are able to build such strong Mannschaften? The secret isn't in hunting for expensive superstars from the outside, but in deeply investing in people from a very young age and nurturing them into priceless assets of the company. Erstens, duale Ausbildung, the dual training system where talent is cultivated on the home field. The first thing I want to talk about, and also one of the most important foundations, is the duale Ausbildung system, the dual training system. You can think of it like a multi-year intensive apprenticeship program, but designed in a structured and official way. Instead of only learning theory in school, young people in Germany, right after graduating from secondary school, can choose to join a duale Ausbildung program at a company. Over a period of about 2 to 3.5 years, they'll spend part of their time at a vocational school learning theoretical job-specific knowledge, and most of the rest of their time doing hands-on work right at the company's factory office or production workshop. What are the benefits of this system? Oh, there are many. For the learner, they don't just learn content that's closely aligned with real-world needs. They also get paid, gain work experience early on, and most importantly, have a clear career path. The employment rate after completing a dual Ausbildung in Germany is extremely high, almost guaranteed. For the business, this is an excellent way to cultivate and develop talent tailored precisely to their needs. They can shape these young people from the very beginning, pass on company culture, and build a workforce with specialized skills without having to hunt on the external labor market at higher cost. It's like personally training your own youth players. You know their abilities, personalities, and potential, instead of buying fully established stars. This system not only helps reduce youth unemployment, but also ensures a supply of high-quality labor with practical skills, helping German companies consistently maintain their competitiveness and innovation. It's proof of a long-term vision. Investing in education and people is truly an investment in the company's future. Zwei, Meister, the master craftsman, the essence of deep expertise and dedication. From the dual training system, we move to another concept, a title that I find incredibly interesting and worthy of respect, Meister. The master craftsman. You know, in Germany, a Meister is not just a diploma or certificate. It's a title, a recognition of deep expertise, extensive experience, and leadership ability. To become a Meister, a worker who has completed a dual Ausbildung, must continue studying, take exams, and prove outstanding capability in their field. From mechanical engineering electronics to baking or hairdressing, the role of a Meister in a German company is extremely important. Technical expert. They are the ones who master the craft, capable of solving the most complex problems in production or services. Knowledge transmitter Meister are often the ones directly training new dual Ausbildung apprentices, passing on practical experience and quality standards. They are the keepers and carriers of professional excellence. Manager and leader. Our Meister often oversees a small team responsible for work quality, efficiency, and safety. They are the bridge between upper management and the frontline production team. What I admire about the Meister concept is how it elevates the value of deep expertise and dedication to the craft. It affirms that practical knowledge and experience accumulated over many years are invaluable and irreplaceable assets. A Meister isn't just someone who does the job well. They are someone who understands deeply why and how the job must be done in the best possible way. This is a crucial part of what creates the reputation of Made in Germany quality. Drittens, Mitarbeitertreue, employee loyalty. The quiet competitive advantage. From training and skill development, we move to a more emotional human aspect. Mitarbeitertreue, employee loyalty. In today's business world, where job hopping is seen as the fastest way to get a raise or find new opportunities, the concept of loyalty may sound a bit old-fashioned to some. But in Germany, and especially in the Mittelstand, Mitarbeitertreue is seen as an extremely important, if quiet, competitive advantage. A loyal employee is not just someone who doesn't leave the company. They are people who hold core knowledge. They have a deep understanding of the company's history, processes, customers, and even those little tricks that never get written down. This organizational knowledge is priceless. Are rooted in the company culture. They help shape and uphold the company's culture and core values, making it easier for new team members to integrate. Create stability. Low turnover saves costs on recruitment and training, while maintaining stability in operations and business activities. Build trust. Long-time employees often have deep relationships with customers and partners, contributing to trust and reputation for the company. So how do German companies build this kind of loyalty? There's no overly complicated secret. It's a combination of many factors, investing in training and career development, like Dual Ausbildung and Meister, providing a stable work environment, good benefits, fair recognition, and most importantly, creating a sense of belonging, a second family. They don't see employees merely as a resource, but as teammates, as family. And when you're treated like family, you naturally want to stay and contribute. 4. The story of an apprentice who became CEO. To close this chapter, I want to share a story with you, a vivid illustration of everything we've talked about. This is not some rare fairy tale in Germany, but actually a career path many people admire and pursue. Picture this, a 16-year-old boy, let's call him Marcus, nervously steps into the Müller family's auto parts plant, a small Mittelstand company in Bavaria. He begins his journey through a duale Ausbildung in mechanical engineering. For 3.5 years, Marcus spends his days learning how to operate machines, assemble parts, troubleshoot problems, and spends his evenings studying theory from textbooks. He is personally guided by the master craftsman, a seasoned Meister, who walks him through every tiny detail. After completing his apprenticeship with excellent results, Marcus is hired full-time. He keeps working hard, accumulating experience, and is determined to keep leveling up his skills. A few years later, Marcus studies for and earns the Meister title in production engineering. Now he's not just a skilled tradesman, but also a mentor and leader of a small team of new apprentices. Over the next 20 years, Marcus never changes companies. He steps through one position after another, from shop floor supervisor to head of production to technical director. He understands every corner of the plant, every screw, every production process, not through dry management theory, but through his own hands and mind, through decades of commitment. And then, when Mr. Muller of the second generation decides to retire, they don't go searching for a new CEO from the outside. They look to Marcus, the man who has devoted his entire youth and career to the company. Marcus, once a shy apprentice, is now the CEO of the very company where he grew up. Marcus's story is not just a feel-good tale about promotion. It's proof of the power of dual Ausbildung, the value of the Meister title, and especially the deep meaning of Mitarbeitertreue. It shows that when a company truly invests in people, creates conditions for them to grow, and honors their loyalty, those people become core players, loyal warriors together, building a truly championship manschaft. These are not just words in Mr. Honey's dictionary. They are philosophies and core values that have shaped a significant part of the sustainable success German companies enjoy today. They understand that in every game from soccer to business, people are always the most important key. Thank you for listening. I hope this chapter has given you fresh and interesting perspectives on how German companies build their own manschaft. See you in the next chapter, where we'll continue exploring other dimensions of the German business world. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I hope you've had some enjoyable moments with the previous chapters where we explored different pieces of the German business philosophy. Today we're going to dive into an aspect that I personally believe is the foundation, the backbone of every sustainable business finance. We're now in Chapter 4 with the meaningful title, Finance, the Prudence of the Kaufmann. If you remember, the Kaufmann is the archetype of the honorable merchant, the respected business person we talked about earlier. He's not just someone who does business, but the embodiment of an ethical long-term business philosophy. And when it comes to money, the prudence of the Kaufmann is not stinginess, it is deep wisdom. In today's modern business world, with startups raising millions, flashy IPOs, and just as many spectacular crashes, the financial philosophy of the Germans can feel like something from another era. But I believe it's exactly that old-fashioned mindset that hides incredibly valuable lessons, especially in an economic climate as turbulent as the one we're living in now. 1. Financial philosophy: stability over quick profit. The first thing Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary wants us to understand about German-style finance is a philosophy that focuses on stability rather than quick gains. Sounds a bit unexciting in an age of get-rich-quick, doesn't it? But think about this: would you rather build a solid house that can withstand storm after storm, or a beautiful hut that might collapse the moment a strong wind blows? The Kaufmann believes in building a solid financial foundation. They don't chase crazy growth numbers or massive profits in a single quarter only to crash right after. Instead, they prioritize steady, sustainable growth, step by step. It's like planting a mighty old tree. Its roots need to go deep. Its trunk needs to grow strong. Its branches and leaves have to develop slowly, over time. You can't force it to bear sweet fruit right away. If you do, the tree weakens and might not survive. For Germans, business is a long-term commitment, a legacy passed from one generation to the next. And for that legacy to last, it has to be built on trust, on quality, and above all, on financial stability. Losing money fast is easy. Earning it sustainably is hard. They'd rather make 10 units over 10 years, 1 unit each year, than make 100 in 1 year and lose 90 the next. This philosophy doesn't just apply to businesses, it applies to individuals as well. How many people get swept up and get rich-quick investment trends online, only to lose everything? The Kaufman's lesson always reminds us, slow down. Be sure and always think about tomorrow. 2. Prioritizing equity and limiting unnecessary debt, solide Finanzierung. This is one of the biggest differences between the German financial approach and that of many other economies. The phrase Mr. Honey uses is solide Finanzierung, solid sound financing. And at the core of solid Finanzierung is prioritizing equity and being extremely cautious with debt. Picture it like this: when you start a business, you basically have two main sources of capital: your own money, or from investors who don't demand excessive control, and borrowed money from banks or other lenders. The Kaufman always maximizes equity first. They see debt as a double-edged sword. It can help you speed up, but it can just as easily cut off your company's lifeline if it's not handled carefully. Having a high equity ratio not only helps a business reduce financial risk, since you're not constantly stressed about interest and principal payments when times get tough, it also boosts resilience against market fluctuations. When your company has a solid equity base, you can be more independent in decision-making. You're not under heavy pressure from creditors or outside investors. Gain leverage in negotiations. When you do need financing, you're in a better position to negotiate rates and terms. Invest long-term. You can put money into R&D technology upgrades and staff training without panicking over the fact that these investments may not bring immediate returns. Get through crises more easily. In tough economic times, a low-debt business can breathe much more easily than one drowning in interest payments. This is why you'll often see many German SMEs who don't brag about massive equity injections or multi-million-dollar funding rounds. They quietly accumulate, reinvest their profits, and build a solid empire, brick by brick. It's like building a brick house instead of a wooden shack. The upfront cost may be higher and it may take longer, but in return, you get a durable, safe asset. Drittens, heimlicher Champion. The hidden champion. And here's a concept I absolutely love. A living example of the financial philosophy we've just talked about. Heimlicher Champion, the hidden champion. Sounds a bit contradictory, doesn't it? A champion who is hidden, yes, and that's exactly the hallmark of many German companies. These are companies, often SMEs, that you may never have heard of, but they are global leaders in some ultra-specific niche market. They might be the only manufacturer of a highly precise machine, a specialized component for aerospace, or a special chemical that no one else can replicate. What makes them hidden champions isn't just their unique products, but also how they operate, and especially how they manage their finances. Focus on quality and innovation. Instead of spending millions on loud marketing campaigns, they invest in R&D and making their products as perfect as possible. Long-term vision. They don't sell themselves to big corporations just to cash out quickly. They want to maintain independence and keep developing their products across generations. Financial independence. Many Heimliche champions are built on equity, reinvesting profits, and minimizing borrowing. This gives them the flexibility to invest in research projects that might take years to pay off, without external shareholders breathing down their necks for quarter-by-quarter profits. Global niche positioning. They don't try to please everyone. They focus on serving a very specific customer segment, often on a global scale, as well as anyone possibly can. Heimliche champions don't need the spotlight. Their existence and success are proof of the power of persistence, focus, and a solid financial base. They show us that you don't have to be loud to be great. Sometimes quiet strength is the greatest strength of all. 4. Cash flow management tips in Mr. Honey's style. So how do we take these lofty philosophies and actually apply them in real life, especially in managing day-to-day cash flow, the lifeblood of every business and of personal finances? 2. Mr. Honey offers a few very practical pieces of advice. First, Always know your numbers. Sounds obvious, but not everyone does it. You have to know where your money is going and where it's coming from. What's your monthly income? What are your fixed costs? What are your variable costs over businesses? This includes closely tracking receivables, payables, inventory, and operating expenses. There is no secret to effective cash flow management if you don't have a clear picture of your finances. Second, forecast your cash flow conservatively. Never look only at the present. The Kaufman always looks ahead. Forecast your cash flow for the next 3 months, 6 months, even 1 year. And make those forecasts conservatively. Don't be overly optimistic about revenue and don't underestimate potential costs. It's better to forecast a bit pessimistically and be prepared than to be overly optimistic and get blindsided. Third, build a solid reserve fund. This ties directly back to stability. A reserve fund is like a financial cushion that helps you get through tough times or sudden shocks without having to scramble for loans. For businesses, that's an emergency fund. For individuals, that's savings to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Fourth, optimize collections and manage payables wisely. Money earned but not collected is still not truly your money. Make sure you have a clear, effective process for invoicing and collecting payments. Send invoices on time. Follow up and remind customers to pay on schedule. At the same time, manage your own payables. Smartly take advantage of payment terms without hurting relationships with suppliers. Fifth, cut unnecessary costs, but never at the expense of quality. The Kaufman is not stingy, but very practical. Every dollar spent should have a purpose and deliver value. Review your expenses regularly and cut waste, but never slash the core elements that create the quality of your product or service. Sixth, review and adjust regularly. Cash flow is not a static number. It changes with seasons, markets, and business plans. Look at your cash flow reports, at least monthly or even weekly. Compare your forecasts with reality and adjust your plans when needed. As you can see, Mr. Honey's advice and the Kaufman's philosophy are not magical tricks or secret hacks. They are time-tested principles based on prudence, discipline, and long-term thinking. In a world where everything seems to revolve around speed and short-term gains, learning from the patience and financial resilience of the Germans can be a guiding lighthouse. It doesn't just help businesses, it helps each of us build a financial life that is safer, more sustainable, and less stressful. Remember, solid finances are not a destination. They're an ongoing journey of attention, discipline, and responsibility. Thank you for listening and for joining me in exploring this fascinating chapter on finance. I hope these insights have given you fresh perspectives and valuable lessons. Don't forget to hit like, share this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming chapters. In the next chapter, we'll move on to an equally important topic: marketing and sales, the power of authenticity and long-term relationships. See you in Chapter 5. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following the previous chapters of this video series on Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary German-English, you've probably realized by now that this dictionary isn't just a vocabulary resource. It's practically a survival handbook for navigating the world of German business. Today, we're stepping into one of the most important chapters, one that can completely change the way you approach and communicate with German partners. Chapter 5. Negotiation and Communication. Getting straight to the point. Have you ever felt confused when communicating with Germans? Have you ever thought they seemed a bit rude or too blunt, lacking finesse? If so, you're not alone. I used to feel exactly the same. But trust me, it's not disrespect. It's a communication style deeply rooted in their culture, a style built on clarity, transparency, and efficiency. In other words, it's all about getting straight to der Punkt, the core issue. 1. Direct communication style, getting straight to the Punkt. Germans are famous for being direct and straightforward. They don't like beating around the bush, hinting, or speaking in vague, indirect phrases. When a meeting starts, you'll often see them jump straight into the agenda, no long warm-up, no extended small talk. For many people from other cultures, especially Asian cultures where harmony and saving face are valued, this can be surprising, even uncomfortable. I remember my early days working with German partners. I used to spend quite a lot of time opening up building rapport before getting to the actual topic. But they were different. They wanted to know, what is it? Why, how? At first, it felt like I was being interrogated. But over time, I realized this was actually a sign of respect for everyone's time. And more importantly, respect for the issue being discussed. They want everything to be crystal clear. Imagine you're in a meeting, and someone says, "Kommen wir auf den Punkt." Let's get to the point. It sounds harsh, right? But in reality, it's a polite reminder to focus on what matters most. This isn't about rudeness. It's about optimizing time and resources. In German business culture, time is money, and wasting time on unnecessary things is unacceptable. They appreciate people who can present matters succinctly, clearly, and with structure. 2. Thorough preparation. Data, figures, and logical arguments. German directness isn't impulsive. It comes with extremely high expectations for preparation. When communicating or negotiating with them, don't expect to win them over with emotions or elegant phrasing. They don't care how beautifully you speak. They care about what evidence you have. Germans highly respect data, concrete figures, and solid logical reasoning. They want to see that you've researched the topic, properly analyzed all aspects, and built a well-founded case. It's like defending a scientific thesis. Every number chart and argument must be backed by proof and clear explanation. If you only speak vaguely using phrases like, "I feel like," "it seems that," or "I think," you'll quickly lose credibility. They will ask based on where's the evidence. Do you have specific numbers? Lack of preparation not only hurts your chances of success, it makes them question your professionalism. Mr. Honey's dictionary helps not only by providing precise terms, but also by indirectly training your mind to systematize information. Every business term is defined clearly and specifically. That's exactly how Germans think everything must be defined, categorized, and logically analyzed. So before every negotiation, ask yourself, do I have enough data? Are my arguments solid? Are there weak points I need to strengthen? 3. Understanding the meaning of a German No 9. This is one of the most commonly misunderstood aspects of communicating with Germans. When you make a proposal and receive a firm 9 no, don't panic, don't get discouraged, and definitely don't take it personally. I've seen many people, especially younger professionals or those unfamiliar with German business culture, lose confidence immediately. They think it's a personal rejection that they've offended someone. But the truth is the opposite. A German 9 is not a rejection of you. It's a rejection of an idea, a method, or a part of your proposal based on logic and data from their perspective. To them, saying no openly is an act of honesty, a way to maintain clarity and avoid wasting time for both sides. They won't give you false hope or promise something they know they can't deliver. When you hear a 9, see it as a signal to reassess. Ask for specifics. Warum nicht? Why not? Welche Bedenken haben Sie? What concerns do you have? They'll gladly explain, and that becomes your chance to adjust your proposal or offer an alternative. Don't treat 9 as a full stop. Treat it as a comma, a chance to dig deeper. 4. Useful German and English phrases for negotiation. To help you feel more confident, I've selected some commonly used phrases and sentence structures you can use. Speaking this way boosts professionalism and shows you've adapted to German communication style. A. Opening and making a proposal. Good morning, Miss Bonheim. I'd like to make a proposal. Straightforward, polite, professional, very American in business settings. Here's what I'm proposing. Short, direct, very straight to the point. We could also consider the possibility that a softer way to introduce alternatives while still respecting the other side. B. Presenting arguments and supporting data. The data clearly shows that common opener in business meetings or project updates. Based on these numbers, I'm confident that logical connection between data and conclusion. We've analyzed this thoroughly and found that shows serious preparation highly valued in U.S. business culture too. C. Agreeing and disagreeing. Polite but direct. That sounds reasonable. Soft agreement. I agree with you. Clear and decisive. I see this a bit differently. A polite American-style disagreement. I do have some concerns about that. Expressing reservations without causing tension. Unfortunately, we can't agree to this proposal because polite refusal plus explanation standard in business emails. D. Asking for clarification. Could you please explain that in more detail? Polite and formal. What exactly do you mean by? Direct prevents misunderstandings. Are there any additional questions on this? Invites discussion, creates an open atmosphere. E. Closing the conversation. In summary, here's what we can conclude. Frick. Classic wrap-up line. I believe we've covered all the key points. Signals that the discussion is clear and complete. Using these phrases isn't just about language, it's about adopting a way of thinking and communicating. You don't have to become German to negotiate effectively with Germans, but you do need to understand and respect their style. So there you have it. Getting straight to the point isn't just a piece of advice. It's a communication philosophy in the German business world. It demands clarity, logic, and above all, thorough preparation. Don't fear their directness. See it as an opportunity to build relationships based on transparency and trust. Once you master this style, you'll find that negotiations become not only more effective, but also far less stressful, because everything is out in the open. Remember the 3 core takeaways from this chapter. Get to the point, prepare with solid data and logic, and never take a 9 personally. I hope these insights help you feel much more confident when communicating and negotiating with German partners. Practice them, and you will see the difference. In the next chapter, we'll dive into another important aspect of German business culture: background music, rising, building curiosity, teamwork, and hierarchy. It sounds dry, but trust me, it's going to be fascinating and incredibly useful. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapters. See you in the next episode of Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. Auf Wiedersehen. Welcome back to our journey, exploring the business world through the unique lens of Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. If in the previous chapter we turned dry concepts into vivid stories, then today we're diving into a core idea, a philosophy that has shaped the global reputation of German products, Ingenieurskunst. Chapter 6. Products and Creativity. The Essence of Ingenieurskunst. I still remember the first time I held a German-made mechanical camera from the 1970s. It wasn't flashy, it didn't have dozens of buttons like modern devices, but that solid feel, the crisp mechanical click, and the unbelievable precision of every single component absolutely stunned me. It wasn't just a machine, it was a piece of art. And that's exactly the point when we talk about Ingenieurskunst. Main point 1. Defining Ingenieurskunst. Not just engineering, but an art form. The word Ingenieurskunst isn't simply translated as engineering or engineering skill. It carries a much deeper meaning, one that only those familiar with German culture can fully appreciate. Kunst in German means art. So Ingenieurskunst literally means the art of engineering. But what is art here? It's not painting or sculpture. It's the art of problem solving, the art of achieving functional perfection, durability, efficiency, and even a certain kind of practical beauty. It's a fusion of scientific knowledge, micrometer-level precision, and a burning passion, an almost obsessive attention to detail. In my view, an engineer with the spirit of Ingenieurskunst doesn't just follow a technical drawing. They pour their soul, their philosophy of life, into their work. They don't just ask, does it work? They ask, does it work perfectly? Will it last over time? Can it be made even better? It's a mindset built on endless patience and a refusal to accept anything less than excellence. It's the soul, the philosophy behind a Mercedes-Benz that can run 1,000,000 kilometers smoothly, a Miele washing machine that lasts decades, or Bosch tools that just never quit. Main point 2. The continuous improvement process. Kontinuierlicher Verbesserungsprozess. KVP. So how do they maintain this art across time and across all products? The answer lies in another German philosophy called Kontinuierlicher Verbesserungsprozess, or KVP, the continuous improvement process. It sounds complex, but it's actually very simple, continuous small improvements. Instead of waiting for breakthroughs or once-in-a-lifetime inventions, KVP is about constant incremental progress. It's like polishing a rough stone. You don't turn it into a gem with one strike. You do it cut by cut, polish by polish, until it becomes flawless. In German factories and design offices, KVP is ingrained in the culture. Everyone from senior engineers to machine operators is encouraged to think, what can we improve, even just a little? A tiny adjustment in assembly, a smarter arrangement of components, a higher heat resistance material, a better feeling button. Everything is examined, tested, refined. Because of KVP. Made in Germany, products keep getting better, more reliable, more efficient. They don't become outdated overnight. This is why German machines and equipment often run perfectly, even after years and years. They were designed to exceed expectations, not just meet them. Main point 3. Distinguishing between invention and innovation in German product philosophy. When talking about products and progress, we often mix up invention and innovation. But for Germans, especially in the context of Ingenieurskunst, these are two very different ideas. Invention. Erfindung means creating something entirely new, something that never existed before. Carl Benz's first automobile invention, Alexander Graham Bell's telephone invention. These are leaps from 0 to 1. Innovation, on the other hand, is something else. Innovation means improving, refining, or rethinking how something existing is used. Instead of reinventing the wheel, Germans focus on making the wheel run smoother, last longer, stay safer, or perform better under specific conditions. German product philosophy doesn't insist on being the first. Instead, it insists on being the best. They didn't invent the internal combustion engine, but they perfected it. They didn't create the first household appliances, but they elevated them into ultra-durable, energy-efficient, high-performance machines. This is purposeful innovation, not chasing trends or flashy newness, but focusing on what matters most: function, durability, safety, and long-term usability. That's why German products may look serious, minimalist, even plain, but users trust their performance completely. Beauty to them is in functional perfection. Main point 4. A simple design with exceptional function and durability. To make this idea of Ingenieurskunst, KVP, and innovation versus invention more concrete, let me give you a familiar example, one many of you may have used, or at least seen. The Lamy Safari fountain pen. Introduced in 1980, it's become a design icon. Look at it: minimalistic, clean, almost no unnecessary details. ABS plastic body, usually in solid colors. A cylindrical shape with subtle grip facets to guide your fingers. A compact stainless steel nib. Sounds simple, right? But its brilliance lies in outstanding function. The Safari nib is famously smooth. Ink flows evenly, doesn't skip, clog, or sputter even if you write fast or with inconsistent pressure. It's engineered to do one thing right, and it does that exceptionally well. Incredible durability. ABS plastic is tough, shock resistant. The thick U-shaped metal clip isn't just decoration, it's built to last. I've had one Safari for over 10 years. It's been dropped countless times, yet it still writes like day one. Purpose-driven design. Every detail has intent. The ergonomic grip teaches beginners how to hold a pen. The little ink window is simple, useful, and brilliant. KVP and innovation. Lamy continually refines the Safari. Not with flashy redesigns, but with improvements in materials, manufacturing, and feel. They didn't invent fountain pens, they simply made the experience dramatically better, more accessible, and more reliable. The Lamy Safari isn't the most complex product, but it's a perfect example of how Ingenieurskunst shows up in everyday life. It's where craftsmanship meets applied science, simple, elegant, durable, and incredibly effective. The combination of all these elements, Ingenieurskunst as a philosophy, the relentless KVP mindset and purposeful innovation, is what gave Made in Germany its legendary status. It's not just a label of origin. It's a promise of quality, durability, precision, and an unwavering belief that everything can be made better. When you hold something made in Germany, you're not just holding an object. You're holding the distilled essence of a culture that values meticulousness, endurance, and a tireless pursuit of true value. It's a legacy and art form that we can all learn from and apply in any area of our own lives. Thank you for listening to our Chapter 6. I hope this gave you a deeper appreciation of the world of Ingenieurskunst. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue our journey exploring the highly valuable book, Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary, and some of the hidden corners of the business world in Germany. After lessons on culture and communication, it's time for us to dive into a topic that is probably the most tricky, but also incredibly important: legal matters and contracts. That's right, Mr. Honey calls this Chapter 7 Legal and Contracts. Vertrag ist Vertrag. When you hear this phrase, Vertrag ist Vertrag, you might think it simply means a contract is a contract. Pretty obvious, right? But in Germany, it carries a much deeper meaning. It's not just a casual saying. It's a core business philosophy, a solid foundation on which every transaction and every partnership is built. You know, Germans are famous for being meticulous, precise, and rule-abiding. This is shown most clearly in how they view and handle legal matters. When they say Vertrag ist Vertrag, what they really mean is that once you've signed a contract, it's an inviolable promise. It's a rock-solid commitment, no wavering, no arbitrary changes, based on some vague verbal agreement that we kind of talked about. Every term that has been negotiated and signed off on must be followed down to the last period and comma. In many other cultures, we might be a bit more flexible, where the spirit of the agreement is more important than the letter of it. But in Germany, it's different. Here, the letter is the spirit. The contract is a symbol of trustworthiness, a tool to create clarity and eliminate risk. They don't put faith in promises made over drinks or in mere handshakes. Even if those gestures are made in good faith, they have zero legal value. Once a problem arises, the only thing that carries weight in German law is the written signed contract. Because of that, there is no room for vagueness or generalities in contracts with German partners. From A to Z, everything has to be crystal clear. Who does what? By when? For how much? How is payment made? What are the rights and obligations of each party? What happens if something goes wrong? Who is responsible? In which scenario? Everything, and I repeat, everything needs to be laid out in detail, clearly, with no ambiguity. Think of a contract like the detailed technical blueprint of a building. You can't build a skyscraper based only on a rough sketch, right? You need every line, every dimension, every material to be specified. A vague contract in Germany is like a ticking time bomb. If a dispute comes up and the terms aren't detailed enough, you'll find yourself at a huge disadvantage. They will cling to every word, and if you don't have clear legal grounds written down, chances are you'll lose out. For example, take the clause about scope of work. Don't just write something vague like provide marketing services. Instead, you need to specify design 5 advertising banners in sizes ABC. Run a Google Ads campaign with a budget of X euros over Y period. Write 3 blog posts on topic Z. Provide monthly performance reports. The more detailed and specific it is, the less likely it is that conflicts will arise later. The same goes for payment terms, timing method penalties for late payment, extra charges for out-of-scope work. Everything needs to be set out as transparently as possible. But it doesn't stop at contracts between two parties. When you do business in Germany, you'll also be confronted with an entire forest of regulations, which they call Vorschriften. These rules can relate to tax, labor, environmental standards, and especially data protection. And when it comes to data protection, the name many of you will already know is GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation of the European Union, which in Germany is closely tied to the concept of Datenschutz. This is not a law you work around or ignore. Germans take personal privacy extremely seriously. The way you collect, store, process, and share personal data must strictly follow GDPR principles. Even a small violation can lead to severe penalties, not just financially, but also in terms of your company's reputation. I remember once a small startup in Vietnam wanted to partner with a German company to develop a mobile app. They thought it'd be as simple as just collecting user info like email and name to send marketing emails. But when the German partner reviewed the data protection clause, they demanded that the entire process be redesigned from the ground up to comply with GDPR in every tiny detail. If not, there would be no contract. That was a very clear example of how seriously they take Vorschriften. So what's the solution when you're facing a legal maze and such strict regulations? Advice, actually, not just advice, but almost a command, is this: always seek professional legal counsel when working with German partners. Never, and I repeat never, try to handle complex legal issues on your own if you're not an expert in German business law. A good lawyer who specializes in German law won't just help you draft and review contracts. They'll also understand the cultural and legal nuances, the loopholes and hidden risks that an outsider is unlikely to spot. They'll help ensure that every clause is clear, fair, and most importantly, compliant with German law. Treat this as an investment, not an expense. An investment in safety and stability, and in the future of your business relationships. The cost of hiring a lawyer might not be cheap, but the cost of fixing a legal mistake born from ignorance can wipe you out or even destroy an entire project or your career in the German market. A small legal incident can erase everything. Personally, at first, I also felt this was a bit rigid. It felt like everything had to be boxed in and constrained. But the more I worked with Germans, the more I appreciated the sense of security it brings. When everything is clear on paper, you're free to focus on your core work without constantly worrying about legal landmines. This clarity and transparency really are a solid foundation for building trust and long-term partnerships. In short, when doing business in Germany, remember these key points. Erstens, Vertrag ist Vertrag. A contract is a vow, a binding commitment. Take it seriously. 2. Detail is key. Everything must be clear, specific, and unambiguous. 3. Compliance is mandatory, especially with Vorschriften and GDPR. Never underestimate them. 4. And finally, but most importantly, always have a professional lawyer by your side. So when you're working in Germany, remember, a contract is not just a piece of paper, it's the strongest foundation for any business relationship. Respect it, understand it, and protect yourself with it. Thank you for taking the time to follow this challenging Chapter 7. I hope these insights have given you a clearer view of how crucial legal matters and contracts are in doing business with Germany. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming episodes, where we'll explore even more fascinating aspects of Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. See you in the next videos. Welcome back to our video series on Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. I'm Wealth Rise Stories, and today we're diving deep into a concept that I personally find both fascinating and incredibly challenging: Fehlerkultur. Or as the title of this chapter puts it, the culture of failure. Learning from Fehlerkultur. You know, when we think about German companies, what's the first image that pops into our minds? Exactly high-precision, flawless engineering processes that are perfectly tightened down to the smallest detail. A well-oiled machine where it seems like there's no room for mistakes. And for a long time, that was their pride, and also the pressure weighing heavily on every employee. Mistakes, something to avoid at all costs, a stain to be hidden away. I remember when I first started my career, there was one time I messed up a small number in a report. My heart was pounding, my palms got sweaty, and the very first thought I had was, how do I fix this without anyone finding out? That's self-defense mode, a very natural reaction when we grow up in systems where mistakes are linked to incompetence, reprimands, or even serious consequences. But is that approach really effective in today's insanely fast-changing business world? The answer many forward-thinking German companies have discovered is no. And that is exactly why we need to talk about Fehlerkultur. 1. What is Fehlerkultur? And how is it different from a blame culture? The word Fehlerkultur sounds a bit unusual, doesn't it? Literally, it means culture of error or culture of mistakes. But don't let the name fool you. This is not an invitation for people to work sloppily and make careless mistakes. Not at all. Fehlerkultur is a modern management philosophy where errors are no longer viewed as personal weaknesses or something shameful, but as valuable data points, opportunities to learn and improve. Imagine this in a traditional blame culture. When a mistake happens, the first question is usually, who's responsible? Or, why did you do that? The pressure to find a culprit is huge. And what happens? People become terrified of admitting mistakes. They hide them, they shift blame, they deny. The mistake gets buried, the root cause remains, and no one learns anything. The entire organization slows down, becomes less innovative, because no one wants to try anything new that might fail. It's like trying to patch a flat tire without ever looking for the nail that caused it. In contrast, Fehlerkultur flips the focus completely. When a mistake happens, the first questions are not who, but what happened. Why did it happen? And most importantly, what can we learn from this so it never happens again? The goal isn't to punish individuals, it's to improve systems and processes. The mistake becomes a failed experiment from which you gather information to move forward. Just like scientists, they don't get discouraged when a hypothesis turns out wrong. They use it to refine the next experiment. 2. Creating a safe environment where people dare to experiment and report mistakes. This is the hardest part, but also the most important one. How do you convince people that admitting mistakes is safe, even welcome? It requires a top-down mindset shift, starting with leadership. Leaders set the tone. If your boss never admits mistakes, no employee will ever feel safe doing so. When a senior manager openly acknowledges a small error and shares the lessons learned, it sends a powerful signal. It shows transparency, humility, And more importantly, it creates a space where imperfection is accepted. Clarity and transparency. There needs to be a clear message. Mistakes are unavoidable when we innovate and experiment. What's unacceptable is hiding them or failing to learn from them. This has to be communicated consistently. Separate the person from the problem. When analyzing an error, focus on the system, the process, the objective factors, not the person. The question isn't, how incompetent are you to mess this up? But, does our process contain weaknesses that allowed this to happen? Did we provide enough tools, training, or information? A true, no-punishment approach for honest mistakes. This doesn't mean there's no accountability. It means that if someone makes an honest mistake not caused by negligence or intentional misconduct, they shouldn't be punished. Instead, they should be supported in understanding the issue and preventing future repeats. Of course, there is a huge difference between honest mistakes and reckless carelessness. Failure culture does not encourage sloppiness. Encourage experimentation. Innovation requires experimentation. And experimentation comes with the risk of failure. Create room for people to test new ideas, no matter how crazy they may seem, as long as we learn something from the outcome. 3. A simple 3-step framework for effective error analysis. To turn mistakes into lessons, you need structure. Here's a simple but powerful 3-step approach. Step 1. What happened? Focus on objective facts. Data, no guessing, no blaming. Document clearly who, what, when, where. Example. Customer X's data was accidentally deleted at 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday. The goal is a clear, accurate picture of the event. Step 2. Why did it happen? This is where you dig deeper. Use techniques like the 5 whys to find the root cause, not just the surface reason. Example, why was the data deleted? Because employee Y clicked the wrong button. Why did they click the wrong button? The UI wasn't clear. The delete button was too close to the save button. Why was the UI unclear? There was no strong UX testing process before rollout. Why was there no UX testing? Because of intense pressure to launch quickly. Why was the timeline so tight? The initial project planning underestimated complexity. As you can see, the root cause often lies far deeper than the initial mistake. Step 3. How do we prevent it from happening again? Based on the root cause, develop concrete, realistic actions. Example. Improve UI design, implement mandatory UX testing, revise project planning processes, and provide additional training on data safety. Assign responsibilities, deadlines, and follow-up. Most importantly, share the lessons widely so everyone learns. 4. Connecting failure culture to innovation and continuous improvement. Finally, why is failure culture so crucial today? Because it fuels innovation and continuous improvement. If a company doesn't allow mistakes, what it's really saying is, don't try anything new. But innovation is by nature a cycle of experimentation and failure. No breakthrough has ever been born without failed prototypes or discarded ideas. Think of Edison and the light bulb, or the thousands of iterations behind any successful piece of software. Failure culture enables you to experiment faster. When you're not afraid of failing, you can test more ideas and quickly see what works. Learn faster. Each mistake is a data point. Learning from it builds experience and leads to better decisions. Adapt faster. In a constantly changing business environment, adaptability is crucial. Failure culture makes organizations more flexible, more resilient, and more capable of self-correction. Increase engagement. When employees feel safe to share ideas and even make mistakes within reason, they become more invested, more creative, and more motivated. So you see, failure culture is not about tolerating carelessness. It's about recognizing that mistakes are an inevitable part of any learning and growth journey. It's a sign of maturity, a sign of an organization that knows it's not perfect, but is committed to becoming better. It's a modern German concept that helps them maintain precision while achieving flexibility and innovation. I hope this gave you a deeper understanding of failure culture and how it can transform the way we think about mistakes in work and life. Think about it. How could you apply a little bit of failure culture to your team or your business today? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next chapters of Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. See you in the next video. Welcome back, my dear fellow travelers, with Mr. Honey and with me. We've gone through so many terms together, so many fascinating business stories, from dry definitions to inspiring real-world lessons. And today, we're going to open the final door, which is also the biggest one. Chapter 9, Global Vision. From Heimat to the World. Sounds huge, doesn't it? Global, the world. But I believe that after everything we've learned with Mr. Honey, this no longer feels that far away. The goal of this chapter is to bring all the essence together, to show you how a business, no matter how deeply rooted it is in its home ground, in what Germans call Heimat, can still expand into the world successfully and sustainably. Scene transition from a peaceful small German village slowly zooming out to a world map with glowing dots connecting across continents. Heimat, the cultural and quality anchor. First, let's talk about Heimat. You know, this is one of those words that's very hard to translate fully into English or Vietnamese. It's not just hometown or place of birth. Heimat is also a feeling of belonging, a deep connection to a community, a landscape, a culture. It's where you find safety, familiarity, and even your own identity. In the German business context, Heimat carries a special meaning. It's not just the place where the headquarters or factory is located. It's also where core values are nurtured. Meticulousness, precision, durability, reliability, and a hard-working, responsible attitude. Think about it. When you hear Made in Germany, what comes to mind? Is it solidity, durability, a promise of outstanding quality? That's exactly the product of what we could call the Heimat spirit. Heimat is the anchor. It keeps a company from losing its way in the storm of global markets. It's the root, so that no matter how tall the tree grows, how wide its branches spread, there's always a strong source of nourishment beneath. It's not a limitation. It's a foundation of strength. The silent champions. How do they reach the world? So how do businesses infused with the Heimat spirit manage to go global? Here we come to a concept Mr. Honey often mentions: silent champions. These aren't the big household names like BMW or Siemens that everyone recognizes. They're family-owned companies, small and medium-sized enterprises that might be tucked away in some small German town, but they're number 1, 2, or 3 in the world in their niche. What allows them to do that? 1. Uncompromising quality. They understand that on a global scale, quality isn't just an advantage, it's survival. Their products aren't just good, they are the best in their niche. That quality comes directly from the spirit of Heimat dedication, meticulousness, and pride in what they create. 2. Deep specialization. Instead of trying to do everything, they focus on one or a few extremely narrow niches. They become irreplaceable experts. For example, a company might produce just one type of ultra-tiny screw for the medical industry, or one specific sensor for heavy industrial machinery. That focus helps them avoid direct competition with giant conglomerates and build a competitive edge that's hard to copy. 3. Long-term thinking. German companies often don't chase short-term profit. They invest in R&D and customer relationships and in building a solid reputation. They're willing to wait 5 to 10 years or even longer for a new market to mature. 4. Closeness to the customer. Wherever they operate in the world, silent champions strive to stay close to their customers. They don't just sell products, they provide solutions, technical support, and excellent after-sales service. This helps them deeply understand local market needs and adapt their products accordingly, balancing core values and local adaptation. And this is the key point. How do you preserve that distinctly German core, the essence of Heimat, while still speaking the language of each local market? You can't simply force your way of doing things onto a completely different market. A dishwasher designed for a European kitchen can't automatically fit the habits and physical layout of an Asian kitchen without any adjustment. Keep the core values. These are engineering spirit, precision, reliability, and transparent business ethics. This is what makes their brand attractive globally. Adapt locally. This requires flexibility and the ability to listen. It could mean language and culture, understanding customs, communication styles, and even important holidays. Product characteristics, adjusting features, design, and packaging to fit local preferences and regulations. Business model, building local teams, finding strategic partners, tailoring pricing and distribution strategies. Customer psychology. A customer in Vietnam might prioritize convenience and price, while a customer in the US might care more about after-sales service and personalized experience. Their success story is not about completely changing themselves to blend in, it's about harmonizing. They bring their core strengths with them, but also open up to learning and adapting. Like a tree whose roots stay strong in Heimat, but whose branches reach outwards, soaking up sunlight and nutrients from every direction, gradually changing to fit each environment. Inspiration. Local with a global mindset. And now, the most important question. What does all this have to do with you, the person watching this video? Whether you're building a small startup or running a small to medium-sized business, I truly believe the lessons from Mr. Honey and the silent champions are priceless. You don't have to be a multinational corporation to think globally. Start from your own Heimat, whether that's a big city, a rural town, or even just your small home office. Identify your own Heimat advantage. What makes your product or service special in your local context? It could be a unique ingredient, traditional craftsmanship, a distinctive service style, or a deep cultural value. Nurture it. Develop it to the point of excellence. Think beyond borders. Even if you're only selling in your neighborhood right now, ask yourself, could my product solve a problem for someone in another country? How could I bring this value to more people? Learn and adapt. The world is constantly changing. Stay curious. Learn about other markets and cultures. Don't be afraid to experiment and adjust. Quality is king. Whatever you do, put quality first. That's your best passport to the global stage. Global vision is not some distant dream reserved for giant corporations. It's a mindset, a way of thinking about excellence, problem-solving, connection, and creating value for a bigger world. So our journey with Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary comes to an end. I hope the lessons from this special dictionary, especially this final chapter on Heimat and global vision, have given you fresh perspectives and endless inspiration. Remember, no matter where you are or what you're doing, the strong roots of your own Heimat will always be the foundation for you to reach out into the world. Build your business with a local heart, but a global mindset. If you have any thoughts or stories about bringing your own Heimat to the world, don't hesitate to share them in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss more great content from our channel. Thank you for walking this journey with me and Mr. Honey. See you again on our next adventures. Welcome to Chapter 10, the final chapter of our special series, Summary and Application, the Legacy of Mr. Honey. Do you still remember how it felt when we first opened Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary? That sense of curiosity mixed with a bit of skepticism, wondering how a seemingly dry dictionary could possibly contain such profound business philosophies. And now, as we reach the end of this journey, I hope you feel what I feel, a kind of enlightenment, a refreshed perspective on how to build sustainable excellence. We've explored together the many gems inside German business thinking, especially through Mr. Honey's lens. And now it's time to connect all the pieces, forming a complete picture, a cohesive business philosophy. Erstens, the unbreakable link between Mittelstand, Ordnung, Qualität and Ingenieurskunst. Picture this. Everything we've talked about Mittelstand, thinking Ordnung, Qualität and Ingenieurskunst, are not isolated islands. They're interlocking gears in a well-oiled machine, creating a smooth and incredibly efficient system of operation. Mittelstand. This is the beating heart of the German economy. A foundation, a living environment where the other principles grow. Mittelstand is not just about company size. It's a philosophy, steadfastness, long-term vision, social responsibility, and deep ties to the community. It asks, how do we want to exist and grow in the next 50 years, not just the next 5? That vision is what makes every other principle necessary. Ordnung. In the context of Mittelstand, Ordnung is not rigid discipline or obsessive neatness. It's the foundation of clarity, transparency, and efficiency. It means building processes, structures, and systems logically and orderly, so things are done right from the start. A Mittelstand business understands this. Without Ordnung, you waste resources, time, and most importantly, you lose trust. Ordnung is the backbone that keeps Mittelstand steady through every storm. Qualität. Qualität cannot exist without Ordnung. Quality does not just magically appear. It's the result of tightly controlled processes executed with care and intention. To a Mittelstand company, Qualität is not just a good product. It's a promise, a commitment to customers, partners, and themselves. It means doing everything with maximum excellence, from design to production to after-sales support. A quality product is not just for selling, it's for asserting the company's reputation and core values. Ingenieurskunst. And here is where creativity explodes, but in a purposeful way. Ingenieurskunst isn't just engineering. It's the art of problem-solving, the ability to apply science and technique to create optimal, efficient, sustainable solutions. In a Mittelstand environment, Ingenieurskunst exists to achieve the highest Qualität through Ordnung. It's not innovation for the sake of innovation, but innovation for improvement, to refine, to perfect, to craft products and processes that meet the strictest standards. It's the brain and the skillful hands that turn vision into reality. In short, the Mittelstand mindset gives long-term vision and the nurturing environment. Ordnung creates a stable and disciplined foundation. Qualität is the relentless goal and trustworthy promise. And Ingenieurskunst is the creative method that brings that goal to life with excellence. Together, they form a self-reinforcing ecosystem. 2. Success doesn't come from copying, it comes from understanding and applying principles. This is something I want you to carve into your memory. Many people look at the success of German businesses and industries and think, I just need to copy exactly what they do. They try to copy processes, structures, even products. But success never comes from mechanical imitation. Why? Because the context is different. The culture, the people, the foundation's all different. And more importantly, you're copying the what, not the why. Sustainable success only happens when you truly understand the core principles behind those achievements. Look beneath the surface, ask why behind every decision, process, and value. Why do they prioritize Qualität? Why is Ordnung crucial? Why does Ingenieurskunst evolve continuously? When you understand the deeper reasons, you'll know how to adapt those principles flexibly and effectively to your own unique circumstances. Think of what we learned from Mr. Honey as seeds of knowledge. You can't just throw those seeds anywhere and expect them to sprout. You need to understand the soil, the climate, the sunlight, your context, so you can plant them the right way, nurture them the right way, and eventually reap results. 3. The story of the narrator. Applying the lessons to personal success. Do you remember the story I shared at the beginning of this series, that project that felt like a dead end? The overwhelming pressure, the uncertainty, the fear of failure. It was a tough moment when I felt lost in a whirlwind of expectations and information. At that time, I randomly stumbled on a few pages from Mr. Honey's dictionary. I didn't fully grasp their depth yet, but some concepts started to take root. And as I slowly dug deeper into each chapter and each idea we later explored together, the path ahead gradually became clearer. I began with Ordnung applied thoroughly, not just cleaning up my desk, but reorganizing my entire project mindset. I analyzed each step, identified bottlenecks, created a clear plan down to the smallest details, from overall goals to specific tasks and deadlines. Chaos gave way to structure. Then came Qualität. Instead of rushing to meet deadlines, I focused on ensuring every component of the project met the highest standard. Every report, every line of code, every design draft was carefully reviewed, tested, and refined until it was truly excellent. I didn't want a product that merely met requirements. I wanted one that exceeded expectations. It slowed me down at first, but saved endless hours later, built trust, and eliminated costly rework. And finally, Ingenieurskunst. When facing complex problems that no existing solution could address, I didn't just look for ready-made answers. I applied the engineering as art mindset, designing new approaches, sometimes combining multiple technologies into one optimized system, sometimes reframing the problem entirely. It was about smart, elegant problem solving. Most importantly, the Mittelstand mindset gave me persistence and long-term vision. When things got tough, when small failures happened, I didn't quit. I saw this as a long journey where every solid step mattered. It helped me stay calm, trust the process, and not let short-term pressure overshadow the bigger goal. And the result? The project wasn't just salvaged, it far exceeded expectations. It wasn't just about completing the work. It was about building a solid foundation for the future and gaining a renewed confidence in my own problem-solving abilities. I didn't copy a formula, I understood and applied principles. 4. The legacy of Mr. Honey. A thinking toolkit for any leader. So what is Mr. Honey's legacy? Not a list of dry vocabulary, not a collection of rigid rules. His legacy is a thinking toolkit, a profound philosophy for building and sustaining excellence in any field. It reminds us that sustainable success is not luck or magic. It's the result of unwavering commitment to core principles: Qualität, Ordnung, excellence, Qualität, creative engineering, problem-solving, Ingenieurskunst, and long-term, steadfast vision, Mittelstand. Whether you're a struggling startup founder, a mid-level manager trying to optimize processes, or a CEO shaping strategy for a large corporation, Mr. Honey's lessons offer a solid mental framework. These principles are timeless and borderless. They're not just for German companies, they're for anyone who wants to build something valuable, something lasting, something truly excellent. They help you solve today's problems and shape tomorrow's legacy. We've walked together through an incredibly rich journey of knowledge. I hope that Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary is no longer just a book to you, but a quiet mentor, always reminding you of the essential values. Carry these lessons with you, not only in your work, but in your life. Apply the clarity of Ordnung, the commitment of Qualität, the finesse of Ingenieurskunst, and the long-term vision of Mittelstand to everything you do. Because success isn't a destination, It's a continuous journey of improvement and dedication. Thank you for walking with me through this series. And I hope that through all the stories and insights, you'll also find your own Mr. Honey in your career and your life. Wishing you success always. And don't forget to share this video if you found it helpful. See you in the next series. If you've been following from the beginning of this video about Mr. Honey's business dictionary, you'll see that the Mittelstand philosophy is not just an abstract concept. These are powerful practical tools that can transform the way you run your business. I know that after hearing a lot of great ideas, we can sometimes feel overwhelmed and not know where to start. That's why in this section, I want to give you a special gift, Mr. Honey's 7-day action plan. This is a concrete, immediately applicable roadmap to help you start putting what we've learned into practice in your business. Think of this as a small but meaningful challenge for you to Germanize your business step by step. Are you ready? Let's walk through each day together. Grab a pen and paper or open your Notes app on your phone, and let's plan out this 7-day journeys. Day 1 and 2. Define your own Mittelstand mindset. Mittelstand, the backbone of the German economy, is not just about size. It's a way of thinking that's deeply focused long-term in vision and firmly committed to core values. In these first 2 days, I want you to really re-examine your business through that lens. What is your niche market? The Germans are extremely good at finding a very specific niche, becoming irreplaceable experts in it, and then dominating it. They don't try to please everyone. They pick a small segment, go deep, and become exceptionally outstanding there. Ask yourself, who are you serving best right now? What specific problem does your product or service solve? And for which audience? What makes you different and unique in that niche in a way that's hard for competitors to copy? My own example. This YouTube channel is a small niche. I focus on storytelling about books and business thinking from my personal perspective and in my own style. I tried to do that one thing really well. Spend some time researching the market and listening to your customers. Is there a smaller segment where you could concentrate your resources to become number 1, your own hidden champion? Don't be afraid to narrow down. Sometimes narrowing down and going deeper is exactly the path to bigger and more sustainable success. What is your long-term vision? Mittelstand businesses don't live quarter to quarter. They think in generations. They build their companies for their children for the distant future. That puts quality, sustainability, and reputation above short-term profit at all costs. Do you see your business 5, 10, or even 20 years from now? How do you want it to grow, and what core values do you want it to hold on to no matter how the market changes? Write out a vision statement for your business. It doesn't need to be fancy, just honest, clear, and reflective of your long-term aspirations. Put it somewhere you can see every day. When you have a clear vision, every daily decision has a solid compass behind it. It helps you turn down tempting opportunities that are off track and focus your resources on what truly matters for the future. These 2 days are for digging into the roots, reshaping the compass for your business. Invest your time properly here, because this is the foundation for everything else. Day 3 and 4. Practice Ordnung, structured organization. Ordnung, a German word we've mentioned many times. It's not just tidiness. It's a life philosophy, a systematic, detailed, disciplined approach to work, almost an art of organization. For Mittelstand businesses, Ordnung is the solid base of efficiency, quality, and scalability. In these 2 days, I want you to bring Ordnung into one specific process in your company. Pick a process and document it in detail. Think of a recurring process in your business, something you or your team do regularly. It could be how you handle orders, onboard new clients, post on social media, or prepare for a recurring meeting. Choose a process that you want to improve, or where you need more consistency among team members, or where you frequently run into small mistakes. Now sit down and write out every single step in as much detail as possible, as if you were explaining it to someone completely new. Who is primarily responsible? What exactly needs to be done at each step? What tools or documents are needed? How much time is expected for each step? How is quality checked at each stage? Who gives the final approval? Don't be afraid to go into the smallest details. The goal is that anyone, even a total newcomer, could read this document and perform the process correctly and efficiently, achieving the desired outcome just like you would. Why process? Because when you have a clear process, you dramatically reduce errors, save training and operational time, empower your employees to work independently, and most importantly, you can scale your operations while still maintaining quality. That's exactly how Mittelstand companies keep product quality consistent across generations. A small example from me. When I make a video, I have a specific process: brainstorming, research, script writing, recording audio, sound editing, visual editing, publishing. Each step has its own checklist and standards. That helps me keep output quality consistent and prevents me from skipping any important step. This may take time and effort up front, but it's a worthy investment in the sustainable growth and long-term efficiency of your business. Ordnung is not just about working systematically. It's also how you free yourself from repetitive tasks so you can focus on bigger strategic moves. Day 5 and 6. Communicate like a German, with data and reasoning. If you've ever worked with Germans, you'll have noticed their communication style is very different. They don't like vague discussions, feelings without evidence, or empty promises. They value clarity, logic, and especially concrete, measurable data. In these 2 days, I want you to apply this to how you prepare for your next meeting, whether it's with partners, customers, or your team. Prepare for your next meeting with data and reasoning, not just opinions. Before the meeting, define a clear objective. What do you want to achieve? Whom do you want to convince, and about what? Instead of just saying, "I think we should," or "I feel like maybe." Focus on gathering data, numbers, market research, or specific real-world examples to back up your point. Turn each opinion into a proposal with a basis. Concrete example. Instead of saying, "I think product X will sell better next season," an opinion. Say, based on last quarter's sales analysis, product X grew 15% compared to Y, and our recent customer survey shows that 70% of users prioritize feature Z of X. Market reports also indicate this segment is expected to grow by another 10% in the next 6 months. Therefore, I propose we focus more resources on product X and ramp up our marketing campaign around it. An argument with data. Structure your argument like this: statement, proposal, evidence, data, numbers, explanation of what it means, clear action, recommendation. Opinions matter, but when supported by data and tight reasoning, they become much more persuasive and credible. In business, especially with international partners, clarity, transparency, and the ability to provide evidence are key to building trust. Germans highly value thorough preparation and logically structured presentations. From my own experience, when I want to test a new video format, I don't just say, "I think this is cool." I'll say similar channels A and B have used this format and seen engagement rise by X%. Our YouTube analytics also shows that our viewers tend to watch longer when content is broken into segments. I propose we test 3 videos in this format and track metrics like average view duration and audience retention. That level of prep makes my idea get taken much more seriously. Doing this not only improves your communication skills, it also trains your critical thinking and decision-making, based on evidence, a must-have skill for any modern leader. Day 7. Promote failure culture, a culture of learning from mistakes. This is the final day of our 7-day plan, and it's probably the most important for creating a healthy, innovative, and continuously improving work environment failure culture. a culture that accepts and learns from mistakes. In many places, mistakes are hidden, blamed, or feared. But in German thinking, mistakes are not the end. They're golden opportunities to learn, improve, and move forward. Hold a short meeting to discuss a recent mistake and the lessons learned. Choose a recent mistake or unsatisfying outcome in your business. It could be a delayed project, a small product service error, negative customer feedback, or an internal incident. The goal of this meeting is not to criticize or blame. It's to objectively understand what happened and, together, find solutions turning the mistake into a lesson. How to do it. Invite a small group of people directly or indirectly involved. Start by laying out the situation objectively, without judgment. What exactly happened in chronological order? Then discuss why did it happen. What were the root causes? Focus on systems, processes, or missing information, not on personal flaws. Most importantly, what did we learn from this mistake? What are the key takeaways? How can we prevent this in the future? What needs to change? Write down the lessons and specific measurable actions. Who is responsible? By when create a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing what they know without fear of judgment or negative consequences. This is crucial for building trust, encouraging transparency, and boosting team spirit. From my experience, there was a time I uploaded a video with a small typo in the visuals. Instead of ignoring it, I quickly called a short meeting. What was the mistake spelling error in the graphic? Why did it slip through rushing skipped final spell check? What's the lesson? Add a final spell check step to the checklist and assign a second person for cross-review. That didn't just fix the error, it helped the team understand that every experience carries a lesson. Failure culture is about turning failure into a foundation for success, turning every stumble into a valuable learning experience. It drives innovation, encourages experimentation, and builds a strong, resilient, ever-evolving team. And that is Mr. Honey's 7-day action plan for you. As you can see, we've taken a small but meaningful journey from long-term strategic thinking to discipline in processes, sharpness in communication, and finally, resilience in learning from mistakes. Each step is small on its own, but together they create powerful, lasting change for your business, moving you toward a true Mittelstand style approach. Don't feel like you have to change everything overnight. The goal here is to start. Pick 1, 2, or all of these points and commit to doing them this coming week. Treat this as a personal experiment and see for yourself what difference it makes. I believe that once you start applying these principles, you'll see clear improvements, not only in performance, but also in the culture and spirit of your team. This is an investment in your future and your business. So what are you waiting for? Start today, challenge yourself, and see what kind of magic happens when you Germanize your business. If you found this plan helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss future content, and most importantly, share your experience with this plan in the comments below. I'd love to hear your success stories, the lessons you've learned, or any questions you have along the way. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into Mr. Honey's business secrets. See you in the next video after the long journey with Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary, where we've dug deep into every corner of that subtle, sharp way of thinking about business. You're probably feeling like I am right now, like you've just been recharged with a huge amount of energy and insight. Those 130 minutes packed with ideas and perspectives worth serious reflection would be such a waste if we just listened and then moved on. The goal of this section is to distill all of that down into 3 precious gems of wisdom, the most valuable, the easiest to remember, and more importantly, the easiest to apply, so you can carry them with you after this video ends. Think of these as three golden threads running through everything Mr. Honey has so carefully woven together. They're not just business tips. They're life philosophies, guiding principles that can help you not only become more successful in your career, but also more grounded and thoughtful in every decision you make. Let's take a look at each gem one by one. Gem 1, long-term thinking beats. Quick wins. Build to last, not just to sell. The first gem, and the one I believe hits the very core of a solid business foundation, is this long-term thinking beats quick wins. Build to last, not just to sell. In a world where phrases like exit strategy and growth hacking seem to be the guiding light for every startup, Mr. Honey's advice might sound a bit old-fashioned, but it's soaked in wisdom. He reminds us how important it is to create real value to build a business like a lasting structure, not a flimsy shell thrown up just to ride a wave and cash out. Picture it this way. When you build a house you plan to live in for the rest of your life, you care about every brick, every joint, every pipe, the quality of the materials, the load-bearing structure. You want it to be safe, solid, comfortable, and beautiful for you and the people you love. But if you're just building a house to flip immediately, your mindset is totally different. You might optimize for cost gloss over small defects and focus on the flashy exterior to attract buyers quickly. The same is true in business. A long-term mindset makes you invest in R&D to create truly high-quality products, build a healthy company culture, serve your customers with genuine care, and cultivate relationships with partners based on mutual trust. You don't chase temporary trends. You don't sacrifice ethics for quick profits. You accept that real success takes time, patience, and consistent effort. What's the payoff of this mindset? It's a brand with deep, solid core values. It's fierce customer loyalty. It's a team that's committed and all in. And ultimately, it's a legacy you can be proud of. Even if one day you decide to sell your business, it's that sustainable value that will determine its true worth, not some inflated growth numbers in a single financial quarter. I've realized this is just as true in our personal lives. When we build relationships, develop ourselves, or pursue passions with a long-term vision, we're less easily distracted by short-term temptations, less discouraged by small failures. We know that every effort, every investment in quality is there to build a more solid future, a better version of ourselves. So keep asking yourself, am I building this to last or just to sell? Your answer to that question will shape every decision you make. Gem 2. Quality and process are the foundation. There are no shortcuts to excellence. Next, the second gem Mr. Honey gives us is this: quality and process are the foundation. There are no shortcuts to excellence. In an age of technology and automation, it's easy to get sucked into thinking there are hacks and tricks that let us skip steps and cut corners to get fast results. But Mr. Honey firmly pushes back on that. He insists that excellence is not a destination you can reach by shortcut. It's the outcome of a journey built on relentless quality and carefully designed processes. Think about the products or services you truly trust and love. What makes them stand out? Is it the attention to detail, the consistency in performance, the reliability you can always count on? None of that happens overnight. Those are the fruits of processes that have been thoughtfully designed, rigorously tested, and constantly improved. To Mr. Honey, process is not bureaucracy. It's not a rigid set of rules that slows everything down. On the contrary, processes are the solid rails that keep the business engine running smoothly and efficiently, and most importantly, ensure a consistent and reliable level of quality. When there are clear processes, everyone knows what to do, how to do it, and what standard they're aiming for. That doesn't just minimize mistakes, it frees up creative energy because people no longer have to figure everything out from scratch every time. I still remember when I first started this YouTube channel. At the beginning, everything was purely instinct-driven. I made videos based on inspiration, and the quality was all over the place. Some videos turned out great, others not so much. It wasn't until I started building concrete processes from brainstorming, scripting, filming, and editing all the way through review and publishing that the quality became more consistent and steadily improved. Creating a process might feel time-consuming at first, but in the long run, it's the key that allows me to consistently deliver the best content I can for you. Mr. Honey reminds us that excellence is a habit, not a one-time act. And to develop that habit, we need strong processes as the foundation. Don't be afraid to invest in building and refining your processes, because there really are no shortcuts to greatness. Gem 3. Understanding culture is the ultimate advantage. Global business starts with understanding people. And finally, the third gem, one that I believe is becoming more and more important in our increasingly flat world, understanding culture is the ultimate advantage. Global business starts with understanding people. In this era of integration where physical borders seem to fade thanks to the internet and technology, doing business across countries is becoming normal. But one barrier never truly disappears: the cultural barrier. Mr. Honey doesn't just talk about learning another language. He digs much deeper into understanding the soul of a people, their core values, unspoken beliefs, nonverbal ways of communicating, and the customs that shape how they think, feel, and act. Think about this: a marketing campaign that crushes it in Market A can totally flop in Market B, not because the product is bad, but because the message touches on a cultural taboo or simply doesn't fit the tastes or ways of receiving information in that local market. A direct, blunt negotiation style might be praised as honest and efficient in one culture, but seen as rude and disrespectful in another. Understanding culture doesn't just help you avoid embarrassing mistakes, it opens huge doors of opportunity. It helps you build stronger, deeper relationships with partners, create products and services that truly fit local needs and desires, and lead multicultural teams more effectively. It's about learning to read between the lines, listening not just with your ears, but with your heart, and learning to step into someone else's shoes. This is an advantage no technology can fully replace. Google Translate can translate words, but it can't translate empathy. It can't translate the nuance of body language or the deep values that shape a business decision. That's a soft skill and emotional intelligence each person and each business needs to consciously develop. For someone who creates content like I do, understanding my audience, not just in terms of demographics, but also culture, lifestyle, and mindset, is crucial. It helps me make videos that don't just dump information on you, but actually connect, resonate, and mean something. Mr. Honey has taught us that no matter how global business becomes, its starting point is still the same: understanding people in all their cultural complexity and richness. So there you have it, the 3 gems of wisdom from Mr. Honey that I hope you'll remember and carry with you. 1. Long-term thinking beats. Quick wins build to last, not just to sell. 2. Quality and process are the foundation. There are no shortcuts to excellence. 3. Understanding culture is the ultimate advantage. Global business starts with understanding people. These insights, even though they come from an old business dictionary, are timeless. They're not just strategies, they're reminders of what truly matters: sincerity, perseverance, attention to detail, and empathy. I hope these 3 gems become guiding lights on your career path and in your life. Let me know in the comments below which gem resonates with you the most, and how do you plan to apply it in your work or your life. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through this wonderful book. Don't forget to like the video, share it with anyone you think could use these gems, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the valuable content coming next. Hello everyone. So we've explored those fascinating hidden corners together, those concepts that seem dry on the surface, but actually contain an entire universe of business culture. when seen through the lens of Mr. Honey's Medium Business Dictionary. It's been a journey that doesn't just stay between the pages, but opens up new ways of thinking, new approaches to how we interact, work, and succeed in an international environment, especially when working with German partners. One thing I truly believe is that knowledge only becomes alive when it's shared, discussed, and applied to our own lives. Every term, every concept that Mr. Honey took the time to break down carries its own power, its own story waiting for you to explore and transform. So I'm really curious to know, among all the German concepts we dissected in this video, which one made the strongest impression on you? Was it Mittelstand, with its philosophy of sustainable business, Feierabend, with its deep respect for personal time? Or maybe a word that completely shocked you with how precisely it captures a certain aspect of German culture? And why did it stick with you? Share your thoughts, stories, or even your experiences in the comment section below. The comment section isn't just a place to ask questions. It's a space for all of us to learn from one another, to build a community of people who love exploring and growing. I'm really looking forward to reading your honest reflections. If you found this conversation helpful, if it helped you see work or German business culture from a new angle, or even just gave you a couple of fun moments, don't hesitate to hit the like button on this video. That's the biggest motivation for me to keep bringing you even more valuable content. And more importantly, to make sure you don't miss any future journeys into business wisdom or the next fascinating books we'll decode together. Make sure to subscribe to the channel right now, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you're always the first to get the latest updates. It's the best way to stay inspired, stay informed, and keep growing alongside our community. The journey of learning never ends. And if you're ready to go deeper to apply this knowledge in the most effective way, I have a recommendation for you. Our next video will be 5 mistakes to avoid when working with Germans. This isn't just a list. It's a collection of real-world lessons distilled from practical experience, helping you avoid unnecessary missteps, navigate hidden cultural barriers, and build stronger, more professional relationships. Think of it as your next stepping stone, something to help you turn what we learned today into real-world advantage. You can find that video on the channel, and I'll also pin it at the end screen and in the description to make it easy for you. My friends, this dictionary of German business culture that Mr. Honey worked so hard to create, we've just turned its pages together, unpacked its concepts, and reflected on its wisdom. It has given us deeper insight, fresh perspectives, and a broader view of the business world. But remember, this is only the beginning. Knowledge only becomes valuable when it's applied, when it turns into concrete action, into wise decisions. Mr. Honey has opened the door to this knowledge, and now it's your turn to walk through it. Go write the next chapter of your own success story, with confidence, with deep understanding, and with relentless action. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. See you in the next one.